Ms. Emma, your sister Olivia is here to see you, the nurse announced cheerfully, wheeling in a woman who looked exactly like me. I stared at her, my heart pounding against my chest as reality crashed down around me. That wasn't Olivia, I was Olivia. I'd been Olivia for 28 years until I woke up from a 6-month coma to find my twin sister had stolen my identity. How are you feeling today, Emma? She asked, her voice dripping with fake concern. She even perfected my slight southern accent, the one I picked up during college in Georgia. The one she used to mock relentlessly. Stop it, I whispered, my voice still raspy from months of disuse. Stop pretending to be me. The nurse shot me a worried look before quietly excusing herself, leaving me alone with my identity thief, my twin sister, my former best friend. Emma, the doctor said you might be confused when you woke up, she said, reaching for my hand. I yanked it away. I'm not Emma, I'm Olivia, I insisted, fighting to sit up straighter in my hospital bed. You're Emma. We're identical twins, but I'm the older one. I'm the one with the birthmark on my left shoulder. I'm the one who studied marine biology in Georgia. I'm the one, who had a terrible accident 6 months ago, she interrupted smoothly. The trauma has clearly affected your memory, Emma. I'm worried about you. My hands shook as I reached for the water glass beside my bed. 6 months. I'd lost 6 months of my life to darkness, and in that time, my twin sister had somehow convinced everyone that she was me. Our parents, our friends, even my doctors believed her lies. The accident that put me in a coma was still a blur. I remember driving home from the marine research facility where I worked, thinking about the breakthrough we just had with our dolphin communication study. Then nothing. Just darkness until I woke up 3 days ago to find my world turned upside down. Where are Mom and Dad? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. They'll be here soon, she replied, smoothing her perfectly styled hair, my hairstyle, the one I'd worn for years. They're very concerned about your confusion. I bet they are, I muttered. Did you tell them how you forged my signature to access my bank accounts? How you moved into my house? How you somehow convinced my workplace that you were me? Her smile never wavered, but her eyes hardened. Emma, these paranoid delusions aren't helping your recovery. Dr. Matthews is very concerned about your mental state. Dr. Matthews, my doctor for the past 10 years. Another person Emma had somehow fooled into believing she was me. The thought made me sick. You won't get away with this, I said, my voice stronger now. I can prove who I am. Can you? She asked, raising an eyebrow. Because right now, everyone sees a confused woman who suffered a traumatic brain injury, claiming to be her successful sister. Your medical records say you're Emma. Your ID says you're Emma. Even your fingerprints match Emma's records. My blood ran cold. What did you do? She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. What I should have done years ago. You always got everything. The attention, the praise, the opportunities. Olivia's so smart. Olivia's so dedicated. Olivia's going to change the world. Nobody ever saw me. Well, now they do. They see a lie. I spat. They see what they want to see, she corrected. And what they want to see is Olivia, the successful marine biologist, taking care of her troubled twin sister who's finally woken up from a tragic accident. The door opened and our parents rushed in. Mom's eyes were red from crying, and Dad looked 10 years older than I remembered. Emma, sweetheart, Mom exclaimed, hurrying to my bedside. We came as soon as Olivia called. How are you feeling? I looked at my sister, Emma wearing Olivia's life like a stolen coat, and saw the warning in her eyes. If I fought this, if I tried to expose her, I'd look exactly like what she wanted everyone to believe. A mentally unstable woman confused by trauma. I'm tired, I said finally, watching Emma's shoulders relax slightly. Of course you are, Dad said, patting my hand. The doctors say your recovery will take time. But your sister has been here every day, making sure you got the best care. How lucky I am, I murmured, meeting Emma's gaze. She smiled triumphantly. But she'd forgotten one thing, one crucial detail that would prove who I really was. The birthmark on my left shoulder, a distinctive pattern that had been documented in my medical records since birth. Emma might have somehow altered paperwork, changed records, and convinced everyone of her lies, but she couldn't fake that. I just had to wait for the right moment to reveal it, to take back what was mine. Mom, I said carefully, remember how you used to tell us apart when we were babies? Before Emma started parting her hair on the left. Emma's smile flickered. Mom looked thoughtful. Oh yes, one of you had a tiny birthmark, but I don't really remember. On the left shoulder, I pressed, shaped like a crescent moon. You used to say it was my special mark. Emma, you're getting confused again. Emma cut in quickly. I'm the one with the birthmark, remember? The doctors said you might mix up memories. But I could see the doubt starting to creep into Mom's expression. That's all I needed, a seed of doubt. Because unlike Emma, I didn't need to forge documents or manipulate records. The truth was literally marked on my skin. I reached for my hospital gown, ready to show them the proof, but Emma suddenly stood up. I think Emma needs rest, she announced. She's clearly overwhelmed. Dr. Matthews said too much stimulation could be harmful. As my parents reluctantly prepared to leave, Emma lingered behind. Nice try, she whispered. But don't forget, I control your medical care. One word from me about you being a danger to yourself, and you'll be transferred to the psychiatric ward. Is that what you want? I watched her leave, my hands clenched in the hospital sheets. She thought she had won, thought she had every angle covered, but she'd made one critical mistake. She'd left me alive to fight back. The next few days were a careful dance of compliance and observation. I played the role of confused, docile Emma while secretly documenting everything. The nurses, bless their hearts, had given me a small notebook for memory exercises. Little did they know I was using it to build my case. Every time Emma visited, wearing my life like a designer dress, I noticed small inconsistencies. She couldn't answer detailed questions about my research with the dolphins, specifically about Marcus, the juvenile male I'd worked with for 3 years. She wore my clothes but paired them all wrong. I would never match that blouse with those shoes. And most tellingly, she flinched every time someone mentioned Georgia. Your sister's doing amazing work at the facility, one of the nurses mentioned while checking my vitals. Just last week she made a breakthrough with the echolocation study. I bit back a laugh. The echolocation study had been completed 2 months before my accident. Emma was working from outdated information. But my biggest break came during a visit from Dr. Matthews. He was reviewing my chart when I decided to take a risk. Doctor, I said softly, making sure no one else was within earshot. Do you remember what I said to you during my last checkup? About having children. He looked up, confused. I'm sorry, Emma, but your sister Olivia is my patient, not you. Gotcha. I never had a checkup with Dr. Matthews. Emma had been his patient for years, not me. I'd seen a different doctor at a clinic near the research facility. One more piece of evidence for my growing collection. The real challenge was finding allies without alerting Emma. She had eyes everywhere. Nurses reported to her. Administrative staff kept her informed of my visitors, and she'd somehow convinced the hospital security that I might try to hurt myself if left unsupervised. But she couldn't control everyone. Maria, the night shift janitor, became my first ally. She'd catch my eye whenever Emma left things behind. A phone, a notebook, her tablet. One night, she managed to swipe Emma's phone long enough for me to see the notifications. Emails from my research facility about incomplete reports. Messages from my colleagues asking technical questions she couldn't answer. A reminder about Marcus's feeding schedule that she clearly missed. Your sister, Maria whispered one night while mopping. She comes here very late sometimes. After visiting hours. Goes through your medical charts. Changes things. I nodded, adding this to my notebook. Thank you, Maria. Then came the breakthrough I'd been waiting for. Dr. Sarah Klein, a neurologist from another hospital, was called in for a consultation. Emma hadn't had time to prep her to spin her web of lies. Ms. Harrison, Dr. Klein said, reviewing my scans, I see no evidence of memory impairment or cognitive confusion. In fact, these results are remarkably clear for someone who's been in a coma. Before Emma could intervene, I could see her panicked expression from across the room. I spoke up. Dr. Klein, would you mind checking something for me? The birthmark on my left shoulder, it should be in my medical records. Emma's face went white. Dr. Klein flipped through my chart, frowning. I don't see any mention of a birthmark in these records. That's because those aren't my records, I said clearly. They're my twin sisters. She's been pretending to be me, Olivia, while claiming I'm Emma. Check the shoulder. The birthmark will prove it. This is ridiculous, Emma sputtered. Doctor, my sister is clearly experiencing delusions. It's a simple enough thing to verify, Dr. Klein said calmly. She helped me adjust my gown, exposing my left shoulder. There it was, the crescent-shaped birthmark, exactly where it had always been. Emma tried to leave, but Dr. Klein was faster. Security, she called out, please make sure Ms. Harrison stays right here. We need to sort this out. What followed was chaos. Emma tried to claim the birthmark was makeup, that I was mentally unstable, that she could explain everything. But Dr. Klein had already called the hospital administration. Within hours, the police were involved. How did you do it? I asked Emma while we waited for our parents to arrive. How did you change all the records? She laughed bitterly. You'd be amazed what people don't check when they trust you. A few forged signatures, some carefully altered documents, and everyone sees what they expect to see. Plus, she added with a sneer, being your emergency contact after the accident made everything so much easier. But why? We were best friends once. Her expression hardened. Best friends? You were the star, Olivia. The brilliant one, the successful one. I was just Emma, the other twin, the one who couldn't compete with your perfect life. I stared at her, really seeing her for the first time. You could have built your own life instead of stealing mine. Why build when I could take? She shot back. 6 months of being you taught me more about how the world works than 28 years of being me. People respect you. They listen to you. She was cut off by our parents bursting into the room. Mom took one look at my exposed shoulder, at the birthmark she used to tell us apart as babies, and burst into tears. Oh God, she sobbed. Oh God, what have we done? Olivia, baby, I'm so sorry. We should have known. Dad just stood there, looking between us with horror dawning on his face. The police arrived moments later, and Emma was led away in handcuffs, still protesting that she could explain everything. But the evidence was mounting. Maria provided security footage of Emma tampering with medical records. Dr. Klein's report confirmed my identity through the birthmark and other physical markers. My colleagues from the research facility came forward with dozens of examples of Emma's inability to perform my job properly. As I watched them take my sister away, I felt no satisfaction, only sadness. Emma had spent 6 months living my life, but she'd never understood what really made it valuable. The relationships I'd built, the trust I'd earned, the work I poured my heart into. She'd worn my life like a costume, never realizing that identity isn't just about names and papers. It's about who you are at your core. Dr. Klein sat with me after everything calmed down. You'll need time to recover, she said gently, not just physically, but from this betrayal. But your mind is sharp, your memories are intact, and your identity is secure. You're going to be okay. I touched the birthmark on my shoulder, the simple crescent moon that had saved me from losing everything. I know, I said. I've always known who I am, even when no one else did. But as I lay in my hospital bed that night, I couldn't help wondering about Emma. Had I somehow contributed to her desperate act by not seeing her pain sooner? Could I have prevented this if I'd been a better sister? Those questions would have to wait. First, I had a life to reclaim. 6 months after Emma's arrest, I stood in front of my research facility, taking a deep breath before walking through those familiar doors. While Emma faced criminal charges for identity theft and medical fraud, I had spent months rebuilding my life piece by piece. The dolphins recognized me immediately. Marcus, my special project, clicked and whistled excitedly as I approached his tank. Unlike humans, dolphins can't be fooled by identical appearances. They recognize individuals by their unique sonar signatures. Emma had never understood why Marcus refused to work with her. He missed you, Dr. Peterson, my mentor, said softly. We all did. The real you. The facility had kept my position open, supported by overwhelming evidence that Emma had been incompetent in her attempts to do my job. The echolocation study was back on track, and my colleagues welcomed me back with open arms and understanding smiles. But the hardest part wasn't reclaiming my professional life. It was dealing with the family fallout. Mom had fallen into a deep depression, blaming herself for not recognizing the truth sooner. Dad threw himself into legal proceedings, determined to make things right. And Emma sat in a cell, refusing to speak to anyone but me. I hadn't visited her yet. Couldn't bring myself to face the sister who had tried to erase me. But today was different. After settling back into my work routine, after proving to everyone that I was truly myself, I finally felt strong enough to confront her. The prison visiting room was cold and sterile. Emma sat across from me, wearing an orange jumpsuit instead of my stolen clothes. She looked smaller somehow, diminished without her borrowed confidence. "You came," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I did. I studied her face, my face, yet somehow completely different now. "Why did you really do it, Emma?" "The whole truth this time." She stared at her hands, twisted together on the table. "Do you remember when we were 10, and I won that art competition? Mom and Dad were so proud, talking about how talented I was. But then you won the science fair the next week, and suddenly my achievement was old news. It was always like that. Everything I did was overshadowed by you." "That's not," I started, but she continued. "When you had your accident, I just snapped. I saw an opportunity to finally be the successful one, the accomplished one. I thought if I could just be you for a while, I'd understand what made you so special. But what? But I couldn't do it. Your work was too complex, your relationships too deep. Everyone expected things from me, from you, that I couldn't deliver. It was exhausting, trying to be someone I'm not." I felt a surprising surge of pity. "You never had to be me, Emma. You just had to be yourself." "Easy for you to say," she laughed bitterly. "You've always known who you are." "Have I?" I leaned forward. "Do you know why I worked so hard, pushed myself to achieve so much? Because I was terrified of being just one of the twins. I wanted to stand out, to be more than just your mirror image. We were both trying to be more than what people saw on the surface." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I know it doesn't fix anything, but I am truly sorry." I reached across the table and took her hand, the first time we'd touched since I'd woken from the coma. "I know, and I'm sorry too for not seeing how much you were hurting." After the visit, I drove to her parents' house. They were trying to cope in their own ways. Mom had started therapy. Dad had joined a support group for families affected by identity theft. They looked up hopefully when I walked in. "How is she?" Mom asked, wringing her hands. "Lost," I replied honestly. "But maybe now she can start finding herself instead of trying to be someone else." Dad cleared his throat. "We found these in the attic," he said, pulling out a box of old photographs. "From before everything got complicated." We spent the evening looking through them, two identical little girls with different smiles, different dreams. Emma's artistic talent shone through even in childhood, her drawings and paintings capturing emotions I never could express. We had been so different, yet somehow we'd lost sight of the beauty in those differences. "Look at this one," Mom said softly, holding up a picture of Emma and me at our high school graduation. We were hugging, genuinely happy for each other's achievements. Where did we go wrong? How did we not nurture both of your gifts equally? "We can't change the past," I said, "but we can learn from it." Over the next few months, I threw myself into both my work and healing my family. The dolphin research progressed remarkably. We made breakthroughs in understanding their emotional intelligence and capacity for forgiveness. Sometimes I felt like Marcus was teaching me more about moving forward than any human could. Emma's sentence was reduced in exchange for her cooperation and clear signs of remorse. She started art therapy in prison, creating powerful pieces about identity and self-worth. When she sent me her first painting, a haunting self-portrait showing two faces merging into one, I hung it in my office, a reminder of how far we'd both come. 1 year to the day after I woke from my coma, I stood on the beach near the research facility, watching the sunset. My shoulder birthmark, once just a quirk of genetics, now felt like a badge of survival. Emma would be released soon, starting fresh with intensive therapy and a support system we were all committed to maintaining. "Dr. Harrison," one of my new interns approached hesitantly. "Marcus is doing something unusual with the echolocation patterns. Would you like to see?" I smiled, touching my birthmark briefly. "Yes, I would. And please call me Olivia." As I walked back to the facility, I thought about identity, how it's both fragile and unbreakable, how it can be stolen but never truly taken, how it grows stronger through adversity. Emma had tried to become me, only to lose herself more completely. Now we were both learning who we really were, separate but connected, different but equal. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. "Family dinner this Sunday. We can video chat with Emma." Count me in, I replied. Both of me. Later that evening, as I worked late in my office, I caught my reflection in the window. For the first time since waking up, I didn't feel the need to check for proof that I was really me. I knew who I was, not just Olivia the scientist, not just the twin with the birthmark, but someone who had emerged from darkness stronger and more certain of herself than ever before. Emma had tried to take my identity, but in doing so, she had helped me understand it better than ever. Sometimes you have to lose everything to realize that who you are can never truly be stolen.